Hello everyone and welcome to another creative coffee break with myself, Dwynwen from Loch Ness Knitting. Today we have Lynne joining us. She's a maker who's based over in Aberdeenshire on the east coast of Scotland. Lynne, would you like to tell us a little bit more about where you are and what you do? And of course introduce that lovely puppy as well.
Of course. Hi, Dwynwen. Thanks very much for inviting me onto your coffee chit chats. You find me here in my living room at home in my house. So I stay just on the very outskirts of Aberdeen City, of about 5 minutes away from the coastal path and the stunning cliffs and amazing views out over the North Sea that we have here, which is wonderful. Lots of excellent walks for when this young man gets a bit bigger. This is Bear, the latest addition to the household, who, as you can see, has not settled in at all.
And tell us what you make.
So I'm a hand weaver. I have a studio in Aberdeen City Centre where I create most of my work. I make things for exhibitions and to sell at markets. Mostly kind of in the run up to Christmas time, you'll find me doing those. I do that part-time. I'm also a part-time project manager for a scientific project. So I'm a scientist by background, and I've merged those two art forms, and I do use that term advisedly. Science is also an art form. So the work I create is inspired by data. And the things that I make are based on DNA sequences, genetics, concepts around shared ancestry. And then I also am the practitioner lead for a Scottish project looking at sound as a source of design inspiration.
Are you able to show us a piece of your work without disturbing the wee puppy? Maybe talk us through.
I can, yeah. So because I'm at home just now, I don't have lots of pieces of work around, but this one here is an example. You can see the colour gradation. This is a test piece that I had created with some spare warp that I had left over after another piece of work I had done. Actually, I've just remembered there's another bit I could grab. So you can see here up close. Yeah. This is a mixture of flax and wool, and the flax is that thicker yarn there. And where you can see that pattern changing, that's because the pattern here has been specified by DNA sequence. So I've taken individual letters of DNA code, and depending on which letter was present, has then informed how I have set my loom up. So I create larger scale pieces, and I could just go and grab one of those. Yep. Now I'll just
leave the dog in charge, that's fine.
Yeah. Here,
I'll pause the recording while you're going. Oh, there we go. You're back with us. Okay, so that's the other piece.
So this is a larger scale piece that came off the same warp. So you can start to see how the pattern is a pattern. As you look at it, you can see that there's something in there, but it doesn't kind of repeat in the way that you might expect normal hand-woven patterns to do. And that's because this pattern has been specified by DNA sequence. So you get bits that are kind of slightly repetitive, that look a bit similar to each other, but they're not identical. So you can just see that there.
That's beautiful.
So it's interesting, kind of visually, because as you're looking at it, your eye can see that there's kind of code in it. You're looking at it and you can see that there's information in there, and it's not immediately obvious what that information is. So I hope that through this work, actually, that people kind of engage with some of the scientific concepts and they start to look at it and think, what is that telling me? What does that mean? What secrets have been hidden within that textile there that I'm looking at?
So what inspired you to bring together the scientific part of your life and the textile creative part of your life?
So I had worked as an academic at university here in Aberdeen for a long time, and had been I had reached a point in my career where I was less satisfied with what I was doing. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. So I took voluntary severance, and my family and I went travelling around the world for 9 months through South America, North America, and Southeast Asia. And it was kind of 5 months into that trip that I realised I'd spent the last 5 months visiting textile museums, going to see textile practitioners, and photographing lots of textiles, and also making lots of textiles. I had taken knitting needles with me and had set off with a plan that I was going to create something that represented each of the places that I visited, that I could bring back and create kind of like a memory blanket almost of the trip when I came home, where each of the little squares would be a kind of a permanent reminder to me about the place that I had been and what I had been doing and what I'd been thinking about at the time that I had created it. So yeah, it was one of these kind of moments where 5 months in, you think, actually, it's not the universe telling me this, actually, it's me telling myself that this is what I'm interested in, this is what I should be doing. So I was able in Thailand to find a weaving studio where I was able to go and learn how to weave using a backstrap loom, which is a very kind of traditional type of weaving that's used a lot in the South Americas and Southeast Asia, where actually your body is part of the loom, so you provide the tension within the setup, and it's through your movements back and forth that you're able to manipulate the threads on the loom. And it was a massively fascinating experience because the person who was teaching me did not speak any English, and I spoke very little Thai, so actually we didn't have any shared spoken language that we could work with. What we did have were these. And she was able to demonstrate to me aspects of setting up the loom and then working with the loom, and then to watch me and to correct me, kind of move my hands as I was doing things slightly wrong, or kind of remind me, show me again how it was that she was doing things. And it was just one of those moments where you realise that there's fascinating pieces of information, technical skills, knowledge about materials that can be passed on actually just through the use of hands, and not needing to be able to have shared language to facilitate that exchange of information. And it was just one of those, like, just such a wonderful experience to be able to learn that technique in that way. And it just reinforced actually my love for textiles. It reinforced my kind of joy in weaving, and I think the logic structures of weaving are attractive to me because they do pull together those scientific elements together with kind of some level of pre-planning and control, but at the same time still with lots of options for experimentation and play. So yeah, lots of things kind of coming together in one place. And
that just fascinating, the way that everything just drew together in the right place with the right people to guide you on your journey. If other people wanted to give weaving a try, if they were inspired by the things that you've said today, where could they get started with that? What kind of things would they need? Where would they find them? What advice would you give them on getting started?
Well, first off, I would say get started, because it's a lot of good fun, and it's a lot of fun to be had. There's different styles of weaving. So I learned with a backstrap loom, which is kind of a big, long, continuous circle that you weave into. I now have floor looms and table looms with multiple shafts on them, which operate in different ways. So some of the technology can be very complex, but actually in its simplest form, you can start off with a piece of cardboard and cut some notches into it, and then just kind of move a yarn up and down to create a set of vertical kind of parallel threads, and then start weaving into them. So over the top of one, under the other, over the top and under the other. There are loads of YouTube tutorials about this that can get you started. In fact, actually the Creative Learning team in Aberdeen have recently published some kind of how to get started with weaving tutorials from another local weaver here, which are excellent and very entertaining, and I would recommend having a look at those as a starting point. And even if you don't have yarn, you can get going with paper. So just kind of cut yourself strips of paper or bits of old carrier bags that you have lying around in the house that you haven't quite made it to the recycling centre yet. But yeah, and anything and everything, you can get going. Be experimental and go out and find a fence in a field and kind of weave sticks in between them. And anything that you can kind of imagine, you can have a go with weaving that.
Excellent. No excuse not to go out and give it a try now then.
Absolutely.
So if people want to find out more about what you're making, where can they find out more information from you?
So I have a website, which is really kind of a landing page, a holding pattern, and you can also find me, Lynne's Loom, UK. And you can also find me on Instagram.
Great.
And a bit on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. But Instagram tends to be the main place that I post kind of the more behind the scenes content, what I'm working on just now. It's about projects that are in process. So I would say check out Instagram first and then find out the other places from there.
That's great. So thank you so much for joining us for our creative coffee break today. All these videos on YouTube, and we've got lots of people talking to us this week. So please check out the other videos. Thank you.